Good morning, good evening. It's Sarina here from the Untitled community. One of our community members asked for a few tips on taking a shamanic journey. So I thought I would do a little video rather than trying to type it up. This is not a formal class. This is just a few thoughts that I want to give on how to take a shamanic journey, or as some might view it, how to enter through portals during meditation. So the traditional view of a shamanic journey from the teaching that I've received from my shaman mentor and for what you can read about in many, many books and see on YouTube is that shamanic journey is entering into non-ordinary reality. Non-ordinary reality consists of three levels: the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. Typically, the middle world is considered the place we live in, the place of ghosts and spirits that are intersecting with us in our daily lives. So typically, when you go on shamanic journey, you're not going to the middle world. You're going to the lower world, which it consists of, I would say, anything your sacred imagination can think of. In my case, it's landscapes, meadows, forests, mountains, streams, lakes, oceans, with mythical creatures, animal spirit helpers, and sometimes ancestors who show up and give information that is helpful to me and to my clients in their current lives. And then the upper world is a place, a very misty white place where I usually travel flying. Usually I've transfigured into an eagle, and I'm usually flying until I see a meeting place. The meeting place can be a crystal city, a mountainside balcony, a platform in the sky, among the stars, another planet. It can be in a lake. It can be a village where elders gather. It can be anything. I never know when I go on journey what spirit will show me. So the key here is that you're allowing spirit to guide you rather than you deciding where you're going to go. The intent when you start a shamanic journey is to gather information that will be helpful. Sometimes you'll be taken to the Hall of Records, what I call the Hall of Records. Some people call the Akashic Records. Some people call the Book of Life. It's a place where you can get information about past lives or current lives being lived in other dimensions, etc., where there might be a connection between your current life or your client's current life and that life, which maybe there needs to be a cord that's cut, maybe there needs to be generational healing, maybe there needs to be soul retrieval where you've left a piece of yourself in another time and place due to trauma. At any rate, that's a basic description of non-ordinary reality. Non-ordinary reality is entered into through trance. Now, the way that I go into shamanic trance is with the use of a drum. And this is very common in indigenous cultures and throughout history, that repetitive sound. And it doesn't have to be a drum. It can be a rattle. It can be a didgeridoo like they use in Australia. It can be sticks like they use in South America. It can be, well, just any kind of repetitive, which changes your brain chemistry and takes you into a different brainwave pattern and allows you access into the spiritual realms. Now, some people find this incredibly easy to do. For me, that was the case, and I feel very blessed and fortunate. I don't take any credit. I just am thankful that I was able to enter in the first time I tried with very little effort. Other people, it takes more practice, and some people never get there. So, don't beat up on yourself if you try this and it's a struggle. You can always reach out to me with questions if you like. The next thing I wanted to share is that once you've downloaded a shamanic drum journey track, you can download that onto your phone or onto your laptop, and you play that. I usually put on an eye covering. Let's see. This is an eye covering that I would use. It allows me to block out all the light and allows me to enter it more deeply into trance with the drumming. I typically, what is taught and what I do is I find a place to enter in to the journey. Now this can be a hole in a tree, a hole in the ground, a cave, a body of water, any place that you feel comfortable with. It can be it can be your backyard. It can be in the woods somewhere that you've visited. It can be an imaginary portal, but you need to view it as a portal where you're leaving ordinary reality and going into non-ordinary reality. Once you have prepared your sacred space, I highly recommend putting protection around and opening sacred space, putting on the drum track, setting your intention, putting on the eye covering and lying down, and then picturing that portal. In my case, it's usually a tree. I call it the sacred tree, where I enter in through the tree. I always call on my guides and ancestors and my higher self to go with me. Or if it's for a client, I will also call on their higher self to accompany me, of course, only with their permission. And then you will find yourself in another realm when you succeed in entering into non-ordinary reality. In my case, I'm usually in the lower world running in an underground path, and then this will open up and branch off into different branches. It'll take me to meadows, it'll take me to lakes, it'll take me to mountains, it'll take me to different places. Animals will meet me, bear spirit will meet me, wolf spirit will meet me, eagle spirit will meet me, sometimes squirrel, rabbit. I mean, it can be any kind of animal, salmon, porpoises, whales. Sometimes I'm swimming in the ocean. They usually have messages. And sometimes I'll meet mythical creatures. I'll end up at fairy villages or elf villages or dragons or unicorns. All the mythical creatures that you can possibly think of existed at some point and still exist in other realities. And so you might meet up with them. They might have messages. You might meet up with elementals, like the elements of water, fire, earth, and air, which are very powerful elements, and they will have messages for you or for your client. And then at some point you might be taken into the Hall of Records, where you're shown past lives and connections to those lives. Now, my view of past lives is that nothing is really in the past, because time does not exist outside of 3D reality. Everything is happening right now concurrently. There's just a very thin wall between those realities. So you might be taken to the Hall of Records where other lives are happening. I call them every aspect of ourself, our past, present, and future, in every timeline, in every dimension, are all happening concurrently. And sometimes you can just cross over. Now, in my case, I see doors with red lights and green lights. I'm allowed to enter the ones with green lights. I get information there, bring it back for myself or for the client. And then at some point, usually in every journey, I will be taken up to the upper world, where is typically a place where you meet with teachers, ancestors, ascended masters, angels, spirit guides, any kind of humanistic and sometimes extraterrestrial forms of beings who bring you messages, encouragement, support, love, warnings, etc. And so at the end of the journey, when you feel it's complete, and usually on every drumming track, there is what's called a callback. A callback is when, instead of doing the regular, it'll do this. And it'll do that several times and allow you to return from your trance to your ordinary reality. At which point I highly recommend writing down everything that you've seen, experienced, or heard. Now, some people think that when they go on a journey, they're going to see a movie. It's not like that. Everybody's different, so you will experience it in your own unique way. You might not see anything, you might just feel everything. You might, depending on your psychic gifts, it might be just knowing, the clairaudience, the clairsentience, all the different clairs might enter into the way you journey. So you need to be open and not have an expectation that it's going to be a certain way. The goal of a journey is to gather information from helping spirits. So however you experience that, that will be the way you will experience it. So I think those are my tips. The main thing to remember is that you are a unique, special human being, and Spirit wants to interact with you to give you helpful information, and that it's possible for you as well as for anyone. This is not necessarily something that only certain people can do. All right, that's it. Namaste. Bless you.